Batman, The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween, issue 2, Jeff Loeb writing with KLAUS JANSON, or probably Janson, on art. So, yeah, James Gordon Jr. was kidnapped in issue 1.
On Halloween?
On Halloween, specifically, yep. It is now November, it's almost Thanksgiving. Well, I think it's Thanksgiving by the end of the issue, but I think when it starts, it's not quite there yet. Which obviously is following the format of the original books, in that, you know, each issue is going to be a different month and whatever holiday happens to fall in that month. So we're getting a Christmas issue next time by that logic then, so that's fun.
But just in time too.
Yeah. So cool. So yeah, there's some goons disposing of Grundy in the ocean. They've got him all chained up with cinder blocks, and they're dumping him there, and they're like, hey, is it true this guy can come back to life? Blah, blah, blah. I'm assuming he will. I'm expecting, like, several issues from now, a sort of Godzilla-like entrance from Grundy coming out of the ocean.
Yeah, so do we know where he's reborn? Because I always thought he was reborn in Slaughter Swamp, right? So you kill him and he comes back, almost like he respawns back in Gotham. So I wonder if that's how he'll make his entrance.
I suppose, yeah, that's true.
I don't know if it's ever been established if he just, like, you just resuscitate him, might pull him back up, and he's, you know, born on a Monday again.
I guess I just never really thought about the idea that he teleports back to the same location. I guess I always figured that someone put him back in Slaughter Swamp and he came back there because that's where he was.
I mean, and maybe that's what it is, and, you know, but yeah, I'm just wondering if that's how we get him back involved, because he does weirdly feel like an important piece, because later in the book they call Grundy Two-Face's, you know, friend slash, you know, muscle and whatever. So it seems like he's pretty, I would say, important to the plot, but he's a key piece here to the Two-Face stuff. But yeah, definitely a mob style hit here, right?
Yeah. And then Arkham Asylum, Batman's got Robin there. Robin's first time in Arkham Asylum, and they're, you know, he's talking about various things. There is a line here from Robin that really stuck out to me. That I'm going to assume that the point of this is that it's to show that Robin's young and naive, because Batman raises the idea, right, that, you know, some people think that his presence attracts this type of criminal to Gotham, because he's talking about, you know, the more cartoony villains, the psychopaths.
Yeah, because we've gone from the traditional mobsters, right, to the freaks, and now they're kind of at war after Dark Victory, and so here there's that whole escalation argument that we get at the end of Batman Begins. Yeah,
so he brings that up, and Robin says, that's crazy. That's like saying people get shot because cops carry guns. One thing has nothing to do with the other. And I'm like, Robin, I'm not sure I agree with that, Chief. Yeah. So it was a weird line to read. Now, I think the point is that Robin is incorrect, because I feel like most Batman writers do like the idea that Batman in some way has inspired a lot of the villains that are in Gotham. Rather than this being some weird political statement Loeb's trying to put into the book. I don't think he is, but it definitely, like, made me side-eye it a little bit.
It reads like, oh, you fool.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So, but it stuck out to me either way. Robin gets distracted, though, because Calendar Man kind of lures him over to his cell. So we get kind of like a Hannibal Lecter style.
Who keeps giving Calendar Man calendars? Just don't. Right? Like, he's a big October 31st on the cell wall, you know.
Yeah, to be fair, though, it looks like it's just a poster of October 31st rather than a calendar, despite what Robin says.
No, right, but at the same time, like, is he just ripping those away every day? Like, who's giving him the paper to put that up?
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it is a calendar. I think it is literally just a big sheet of paper that says October 31, because it's just taped on the wall. Look at it.
Oh, man, it's not October anymore. That's right. Yeah. This is after. I forgot this isn't Halloween night still. Yeah,
the whole that's the thing Robin says to him, is that you've not changed your calendar. It's already November, and he's like, it's starting again. Which he sounds very like the fireman or the giant from Twin Peaks. It's happening again. But basically, Calendar Man is pissed that someone's going to kill people on holidays again, because holidays are his gimmick. Damn it.
Yes. Well, and he goes, I can't have that. Like, he's angry. You know, that was my thing, and they took it away.
Oh yeah, he's pissed. Batman goes to beat up Mad Hatter because he thinks Mad Hatter might know something about Gordon Jr.'s kidnapping, because Mad Hatter, of course, does kidnap children, and in fact, this references one of the stories from Haunted Night, which was the 3 Halloween specials that Loeb and Sale did before Long Halloween. So that was kind of like the predecessor that led to Long Halloween happening was them doing those 3 Halloween specials.
Almost like a prototype, right?
Yeah, almost like it was like a proof of concept. Hey, we can do this type of story.
That's what I was looking for. Not a prototype, but a proof of a concept.
So it was actually kind of nice to see them reference that and bring that up again.
And you know what? When, they make Mad Hatter so creepy because right at the end of the day, Mad Hatter is this guy that has mind control. But then when you add kids to it, it adds that extra grimness to him. I
mean, I think this is something obviously the comics don't want to get into because it makes it too dark. But
yeah,
I mean, this is a man who's kidnapping children, and it's especially the line that he has here when Batman throws him away, where he says, "I'm fond of children except boys," and I'm like, okay. I don't think most Batman books would ever actually suggest that Mad Hatter is, abusing these children. But in a real world context, like if someone's kidnapping young children, like my mind's going to assume that they've got nefarious purposes for said children. Now, I'm not saying that that's how Mad Hatter should be written, but it's kind of like, it's hard not to kind of think of Freddy Krueger or something like that and compare him to that type of villain.
I was just gonna say that it's very Freddy, right? Where as part of this origin, is the kid killer part of things. So yeah, it added a bit of grimness, and it makes sense why Batman is so gloves off here, right? Because he is dealing with the missing boy. Yeah, right? He's like, well, what do you know? Tell me what you know. I don't have time for these games, So Batman's violence here makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, if they ever wanted to do a Black Label book where they really wanted to address like Mad Hatter being a creep towards the kids, like he could actually become the most like disgusting and nefarious villain in Batman's entire Rogues Gallery, but understandably no one really wants to actually tell that story because
and I get that, although I do like when there's a group of villains and there's one guy off to the side that like you have the Joker be like, yeah, we don't invite him anymore, because even they're put off by him. And I like when they do that.
So Robin jumps in and interrupts this whole thing and says, hey, we have to go. There's something going on. Catwoman's in the infirmary in Arkham Asylum. Now, I was a bit unclear here if she'd like snuck in and the doctor was just helping her because she's been shot in the leg, or if she'd been like captured or whatever. But she's getting treated for a gunshot in the leg. Obviously, she was being chased last issue by Batman and Robin, and they heard a gunshot. This is kind of the fallout to that. I mean, there's a bit of the typical Batman and Catwoman back and forth here. Robin says, hey, we want to see your gloves as well as the bullet. And she's like, wait, you think I shot myself? And he's like, it's possible. And Catwoman gets like, okay, you're just annoying me. But you, on the other hand, and looks over at Batman and then does a little meow. So she's playing her usual flirty games with Batman. Batman's like, hey, I can get you like the best medical help in Gotham if you just sort of like give me some information and help out. And Catwoman's like, no, I'll stay here in Arkham where it's safe. And he's like, safe? And she is like, yeah, it's starting again. Like someone was shot on Halloween night. That means that there's a holiday killer again, right? Thanksgiving's coming up. It was a 22 caliber bullet. And Batman gets all high and says, I stopped him before, I'll do it again. But yeah, so it really sets up this idea that because this has happened twice before, immediately like some of the villains are like, no, you know what, I'm going to like stay out of sight for a little while. I'm going to hunker down, stay out of the limelight because someone's cutting us off.
Well, especially with Selina, because as we know here, she's Carmine's daughter, illegitimate, right? So this would make her an extra target if it is someone from the Falcones.
Yeah, although I've got some thoughts based on some of the things we see later on about who the killer or killers might be. So Gordon gets like a package from villains here, and it turns out to be some fish wrapped in newspaper and Grundy's coat. And Batman's like, oh, it's Grundy. This means they've killed Grundy, blah, 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 blah. I will say there was a little bit of a forced reference here to Long Halloween, where the other detective in the room, Lopez, is like, oh, Commissioner, I didn't know you weren't alone. And Gordon says, yes, he does that, Lopez. I'm like, okay, it's like one of the most memorable, famous lines from Long Halloween is he does that to Harvey Dent when Batman disappears out of the scene. Yeah. It just felt a little bit forced to me, but whatever. It's not a big deal in the grand scheme of things. But the bat signal is turned on. Gordon and Batman go up to see who turned it on. Turns out it's Agent Johnson and Special Agent Johnson from the FBI.
What?
It's a Die Hard reference, Matt.
Okay, got you. I was like, wait a minute.
2 FBI shop in Die Hard, and it's like, I'm Agent Johnson, this is Special Agent Johnson. It was a great reference that Matt... I gave him a second to try and get it.
Nope.
I'm disappointed.
That's fine. Because I was reading through this, and I forgot that these guys showed up.
Yeah.
So I was like, who turned on the bat signal? And it's not lighting up as we're talking.
Yeah. But yeah, it's 2 FBI agents, and they bring the umbrella that was left at the crime scene when the kid was kidnapped. And this is the thing, like, I almost, like, you forget that it's been a month, so Gordon's really, like, you know, high-strung about this. Yeah, it's like, my kid's been gone for a month, goddammit. But very quickly, Batman looks at this umbrella and realizes that they seem to have missed the fact that the handle was, like, just a cover, and underneath it, there was a penguin. So it's like, okay, that's suspicious. But Batman's already thinking there's something dodgy, but like, would they miss this? I don't think they would miss this. This seems like they're doing something intentionally. So the big final scene of the book is that Batman goes to confront Penguin. Penguin goes on the run. There's some narration here about how Penguin's trying to rise in the ranks. He doesn't like all the other villains see him as lesser, so he's trying to prove himself and like get into a seat at the big boys' table, as it were. But when he runs away and sort of loses Batman by jumping past the train, you get a classic sort of Penguin with, you know, his umbrella gliding down kind of panel. Penguin runs into 3 men dressed as scarecrows, which would make you think that they're working for Scarecrow, potentially. And they shoot Penguin. There's a great big full page where it goes black and white, and you just get the one bit of color, which is the red blood of the bullet coming through his stomach. And he falls down the stairs. And when Batman arrives, a .22 caliber Luger is left at the scene of the crime. And it's like, wait a minute. If you go back and look at what the guns that the 3 scarecrows were holding, none of them are holding a .22 caliber Luger. No. And Batman seems to think that because the FBI show up immediately and want to arrest Batman, that they have set him up so that they've got a bad guy to say, hey, we solved the case. We found the killer. But, so honestly, I don't think that these Scarecrow dudes are actually the killer. I think they're actually just the FBI or people who are working for the FBI in masks so they can... I mean, that's the implication I got from this anyway.
No, yeah, and it goes back to the beginning where Batman is questioning if his presence is what brings these guys, right? So it's almost as if the FBI going, hey, if we get rid of the Bat, we get rid of the freaks. We know how to deal. We know how to deal with the mob. We've been doing that in the history of the FBI. But the freaks, that's a whole other thing. We get rid of Batman, we get rid of them. So it almost seems like they're trying to bring him in by using this old case, right? Because the handle is all taped up like in Holiday, right?
Yeah.
So it's very reminiscent of that, but it seems very messy too. So
yeah, it also means that we didn't get a kill from the killer in this issue, technically. I mean, unless you count Grundy, but I don't think I would, because all the kills are always with the same weapon, right? That was the whole gimmick with Holiday, or the Holiday killer. So,
right. Well, we didn't get a kill in the last issue, did we? He just shot at Catwoman.
Technically that's true. Yeah, because we got Den at the end.
Okay. Huh.
Den and Gilda at the end, yeah. Because I was like, was that issue 0? No, it wasn't issue 0. That was definitely issue 1.
Okay.
Yeah. So
the time on these, because the 0 then the 1, everything's merging together, and then I read Dark Victory so soon. Well, not soon, but so close to this. Yeah.
Yeah, so I wonder if, like, next issue, are we even moved on from November yet? I would assume we are, just so that the book lines up with the time of year, but at the same time, I do wonder, like, do we start next issue with finding out that there was a kill in Thanksgiving? Because I don't actually think we technically get to Thanksgiving in this issue. I think we're just close to it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think when I was reading it, I assumed that after it cut to the next night or whatever, that it was Thanksgiving now, because, you know, Catwoman said it's almost Thanksgiving. I assumed that when we went to the next scene that maybe but maybe not.
But yeah, so did Gordon. Gordon said that too, that it's almost Thanksgiving. Almost is bolded. So
so I wonder if we start next issue and we find out right away, oh, there was another body found on Thanksgiving, if we've just sort of glossed over it. I'd be curious to see that, but Yeah, Penguin ain't looking so hot, to say the least. So, yeah. So it ends with the FBI trying to come and arrest Batman, and Batman drops a smoke bomb to vanish out of the scene.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, the book is still very good. I really like the vibe. The early days style of story for Batman usually hits quite well. Especially since you're in these early stages with these relationships with all the various characters. You know, Catwoman here feels very early days and stuff like that. So, enjoyed that. Enjoy his relationship with Robin, kind of developing continuously. Art-wise, the KLAUS JANSON art, I think it's all right. Like it's got its moments, but it definitely I feel is a bit more hit and miss than.
Yeah, so Janson's art typically a lot more polished. This feels kind of rushed.
Yeah,
like there's a sketchiness to it where I mean like there's a lot of straight lines and whatnot where it doesn't feel like that kind of like we got some KLAUS JANSON art for that Mr. Free special that we read a little while back, and that looked great. So
yeah, I also wonder if part of what we're maybe going to encounter here is that because I think the colorings try to keep everything consistent and more like not so much not even so much like Sale, because like Long Halloween does not look like this book, right? This looks different from that book, but I wonder if the coloring try to keep it feel more consistent, that maybe some artist styles are going to maybe clash a little bit with
that makes sense,
the style of coloring that they're doing. Maybe that's what's happening here a little bit as well, but there's some nice stuff though. I mean, Penguin, using his umbrella and flying around at the end is kind of fun. I enjoyed all the stuff with Catwoman and the other characters in Arkham, looking pretty good. Yeah, I think more than anything else, this issue kind of sold me on the idea that tensions are rife because Gordon's son's been missing for a month. Batman's just basically, and he admits this in his narration, he's just like on a long shot trying to get information he's picked a villain at Arkham who might potentially know something, but there's no actual leads there. There's nothing telling him that Mad Hatter's involved. He's just grasping at straws.
And then when Penguin, or when Hatter gives him the clue about Penguin, it's because he changes some of the stuff from Alice in Wonderland, right? So even then it feels like he's just going off on a lark because Batman was looking for a lead. So he was going to take anything, right?
Yeah, the fact that, that's a good point. The fact that Penguin's name came up from Mad Hatter and then Penguin was actually something that he was being directed to, it does feel like, at very least everything in this issue, if not the entire scheme in general, is all just designed to send Batman on a goose chase, because the fact that Penguin's then the thing that the FBI have effectively planted for Batman to go check out so that they could then possibly frame him for the murders makes me think that they'd also said something to Mad Hatter. And this is all a scheme. Maybe everything about this is all a scheme to deal with Batman. I don't know, but certainly there's something fishy going on, and I think whatever is going on is a lot more complicated than just someone is killing people once a month. I don't think it's that simple.
No.
So
I don't think so either.
Yeah. Still enjoying it though. Still looking forward to the next issue, and I like the feel of the world in the book and this Gotham, and it does feel kind of old school, and it's nice to kind of come back to this every month. So, what are you giving the last Halloween issue to?
I mean, it's 7.5.
Yeah, I think I'd go with 8 for this one as well. Okay. There's something about this. This I don't know, version of Gotham and this version of Batman that just clicks. Maybe it's because maybe it's because Long Halloween's like the second or third Batman book I ever read. It feels integral to Batman to me to have this type of Batman.